Hey, welcome in. We are so glad that you've joined us for another edition of Beyond Hiawatha. The miracle lives on. It has been just a joy, actually, to week after week be able to reconnect with people from Hiawatha Youth Camp, some from a long time ago, some from the very recent past, and some who kind of fit right in the middle. And that would be our guest today. And I'm really excited to be able to talk with Jonathan and Lindsay Slocum. They are longtime friends, and we were just actually talking about how long they have been married. They are one of those couples that met and fell in love and all that good kind of thing. Even though Dad was trying to keep them apart, didn't quite work out. But now, not only having been on staff, but now they've got kids that are on staff, and it's been quite a journey, and so we are excited to welcome in Jon and Lindsay. And guys, it is great to see you.
It's great to see you. We're honored to be a part of this.
Yeah, well, we've been looking forward to this. We've been trying to put this together for a little while, and so I'm glad the schedules finally gelled so that we could catch you both together. And starting off, and I kind of gave them a heads up last night because I know at times you're having to think back a little bit as to when this all started, but for both of you, I'm pretty sure your journeys to Hiawatha definitely started at different times because Jonathan's parents were involved in Hiawatha. And so I'm thinking that his might have been an earlier age. But tell me just a little bit from both of your perspectives. When do you recall landing at Hiawatha Youth Camp? And do you remember at all what your first thought was?
I'll let you go
Yeah.
first.
So my first memory was being stacked in the back of a school bus leaving Southgate, and we decided we were going to pile all of our luggage in the back four seats and then like make beds on top of the luggage and like lay in the back of the bus while we were driving, which obviously you wouldn't be able to do that today. But my first memory would be as a junior camper. I was 8 years old, and old cabin 7 hadn't been used in many years, and it was a packed week for junior camp. And so my counselor decided that we were going to open cabin 7, which now was cabin uh 10 or something silly
Yeah,
like
I
that.
know they
Um,
renumbered everything.
um, but cabin 7 was what it was, and there was shattered glass on the floor, and we went in and cleaned it up, and we brought bunk beds in, and I remember Bill Hobson, I think, was my co-counselor, and I had a young staff member as my first junior camp counselor. But that was my first recollection, is riding down that bumpy road for 4 miles with the trees overhanging and thinking like you were never going to get there.
Yep.
Um, and then resurrecting cabin 7. That was my first memory as an 8-year-old.
Okay. Pretty cool. That's awesome that you remember that. Yeah. Lindsay, what about you?
So I didn't have the privilege of attending as a junior camper, but when I was in middle school, our youth pastor at my church in Warsaw, Indiana, decided to bring a group of us up to camp. And so glad that he did. And I remember just being excited to be there. The first night, was a Saturday celebration. I don't remember who it was,
Hmm.
but I thought, I don't know. Like I wasn't really familiar with Southern gospel music and um, but I remember I think what struck me was throughout the week, just really feeling the presence of God there.
Hmm.
And that was something that was really impactful to me. And so uh, I stayed for a while.
Yeah. So did you wind up camping longer?
Yes. So I actually was what you would call a stamper. So
Okay.
I was a camper who then stayed and was on staff for a little bit my first year and then went the next summer. Not when I was 12. I was camper for a while. Then when I was about 15, I was a stamper. And
Yep.
uh, and then after that went on staff all summer.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how long were both of you on staff? How many years?
Yeah, I was 93 through 99, so I think it was 6.
Okay.
7 years.
Yeah.
Seven,
Okay.
7 summers.
Yep.
So I would have been 6 if you include the
The
campers.
Stamper year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Awesome.
We're trying to figure
Yeah.
out where that plaque is with the 5 years because we're both.
Yeah, we need to see that.
Yeah, I don't know if that made it through the unfortunate demise of the Miracle Building. Um, I'm thinking, Lindsay, if I'm not mistaken, your youth pastor was Chuck Lindstrom,
Scott Howington.
Scott Howington.
Pleasant View Bible Church in Warsaw,
Yes.
Indiana. Shout out.
Okay.
And yeah, several of my friends came up. It was just a really great week, and we had a blast. Lots of good memories. So yeah, we came
Yeah.
up for several summers, and
Yeah. Scott always brought a good group of young people up there for quite a while.
yes. Yep.
So then we got to know, however, and of course we knew Jonathan's parents, because Tom and Brenda had been on staff and been part of Calvary and all that good kind of thing. And but we got to know your parents a little bit, and your dad wound up coming up and helping out at times with a sports related camp that he helped put together. And
Yes.
he's still to this day involved in sports related ministry, correct?
Yeah, he is officially retired, but
Sure.
not really.
Right.
I don't know if you ever really retire from ministry. And so he is definitely still involved mentoring and coaching in several areas. He has a ministry called Shepherd Coach Network. So he really encourages coaches and players, and still to this day has a really impactful ministry, with sports being typically that avenue of access.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember for some reason, I don't know whether it was, I think it was a sports camp that we had hosted, and but I'll never forget him teaching people how to, and I already knew how to play softball, I thought, but he taught everybody this Cobra method of throwing, and I never threw the same ever since. I adapted that and tried to put that into practice every time I threw the ball. And yeah, he was quite an athlete, and your parents were a lot of fun to have up there. So Jonathan, how long then were you a camper before you jumped in on staff?
Yeah, so I was 15 in 1993, so it would have been from age 8 until 1992, I think, is when I met Lindsay at camp when we were
Really?
Mr. Miss Hiawatha. So I would have been 13 and she would have been 12 when I first met her. And
You know what got him? It was the Moonlight Cruise
yep,
after we won Mr. and Miss Hiawatha. And he still remembers what I was wearing. He told me it was pleated, pegged, stonewashed Jordache jeans with a purple and black IOU sweatshirt.
Jordache jeans, gotta love it.
So, I mean, that was the key, I guess.
That was it. I had no idea. For some reason, it slipped my mind that you two were Mr. and Miss Hiawatha together.
yeah, we have a picture
We
that's
do,
hanging in
yeah,
where we're
picture.
us two and Angie Van Giesen, and then I can't remember the guy's name, but
Yeah.
he had blonde hair.
Unreal. Who drove
Yeah.
you around on the midnight cruise or whatever it was? Do you remember?
It must have been Dan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either Dan or Bill.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Unreal. Okay, so then the following year you come back on staff, and
Yeah, when I was
so tell me just a little bit about that experience again for the both of you, because of course, and you knew this going in, but at the same time, I don't think anybody really quite understands the difference between being a camper and a staff member until you've experienced it. Because there's just that thought in the back of your head when you're a camper and you enjoy it so much that it's like, I could do this all summer if I'm on staff. And never quite works out that way because there's a little bit more work involved. Um,
Mhm.
so just tell me a little bit again from both of your perspectives, your first year on staff, what do you remember what the job was? And just how was that first year experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the grounds. So I think I did everything. I had to mow the lawn, mow that hill,
Yep.
where your dad used to walk across the hill when he would go to the service. You had to mow that whole hill and you'd mow it sideways because you couldn't mow it up and down.
Yeah.
Uh, I spent many weeks in the Miracle Building, like my brother had talked about, but just kind of that um, vacuuming under each pew. Like
Mhm.
you like walk down there to that auditorium and you're like, I have to vacuum this whole thing. And I have a 3 hour shift today. The shift is from 2 to 5. And Billy would put your little thing and you'd have the little closet there in the hallway and you'd have to check off all the things that you
Check
did.
off the list.
And
Yep.
it was just tedious and not, not the glamour of other things. And I was just telling Lindsay this morning about when we would wash dishes. Like your dad would have these gatherings where he's like, we're going to feed everybody in the Upper Peninsula and we're going to bring everyone from Canada and we're going to bring in all the people from around the lake.
That's true.
And there was like 15 of us guys and we literally washed dishes one night for 4 hours, just trying to get through the 700 people that he had in for dinner. But I just feel like, work ethic and like kind of like understanding that this is your ministry, this is your service, and then always looking forward to that. If it was, hey, I get to play marathon today because I'm in the building at 3. So
Sure.
the Hiawatha staff shirt, we have we want the trees, please, here. Thanks to Tina Shannon and her design.
It's amazing that it still fits. I mean, that's a kudos to you that you're wearing a shirt that is 30 years old. That's an impossibility for me.
So yeah, I just think there was a lot of life lessons in that kind of like getting it done, knowing that there was a purpose in it. But yeah, that was my first few years. When you're on staff, you're not counseling, you're not running athletics. But I was telling Lindsay, part of this, I think when you're a 13-year-old boy, and you're a camper, I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself as a little pudgy 12-year-old, and you go on to camp and you have your counselor talks to your counselor and you're learning about self-image and having confidence in who you are. And I think, for me, Hiawatha was kind of a training ground in helping me to grow into who I could be and have that confidence from you or Craig or your dad or whoever it was. Doug Rutledge, Mark Woodard, people like that, Joel Sisson.
Yeah, good. Lindsay.
Yeah, so my first summer when I was a stamper, I worked in the kitchen and it was really fun, but kind of like Jon alluded to, hard work.
Yeah.
And it was just really fun to feel a part of things and be able to be there and be able to serve in that way. After that, I'll just call it what it is. I was the office dream girl. So maybe that was what you called me, but no, I worked in the office for several years and I
it was
loved
also
doing
depicted
that.
in a video, was it not?
Yeah.
That way?
Yeah.
The lone camper lives again.
Yes, that was my debut.
Yeah.
But no, I loved working in the office and just being able to be one of the first faces that campers would see when they would come to camp and be able to welcome them and get them registered and tell them what cabin they were in. And I also got the opportunity to work closely with your dad. And, he has always had a really special place in my heart. And, it was great to be able to see the man that he was, the pastor that he was, the director who would get up on stage and just be so passionate about the ministry that he was called to, and see his gift of evangelism. And that was incredible, but also working in the office to be able to see the private moments when he would weep over people, when he would be on his knees in prayer. That was just an amazing opportunity to be a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you wound up in that office for quite a length of time.
Yeah.
And
several years. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Jon, did you ever I know you served with Brian. Was there ever a time when all three of the brothers Slocum were on staff?
No,
I don't think
Didn't
so.
quite work out that way. Okay.
No.
So
He
Justin
was-
came
he-
on
yeah.
after you guys had
I
already.
think we were married.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was 8 years younger than me, so
Yep.
if he came up at 15 or 16, we would have been.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a camper for sure.
Yeah, he was a junior camper
because he used to stay between weeks, and then we would take him into Sault Ste. Marie and go riding on jet skis and jet boats and whatever we would do on the weekend.
Yeah.
And we'd have to take him with us because he was there. And my mom would be like, "You have Justin," because you couldn't leave people at camp. Like you couldn't just like stay there all day by yourself.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Right.
Brian was actually the counselor, and I was his co-counselor my first year. So we actually lived together in cabin 1.
Oh my goodness.
So I was his staff member the first year I was on staff.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And it's cool that you are close enough that you could pull that off. That would not be the case for all brothers. And I'm sure you had your moments. Okay. So just again, before we kind of turn a corner here, I know you both captain, co-captain. You remember any of those days, any of those names, and any memories from that experience pop to your head?
Yeah, we were the Schluby Dews because my nickname was Schluby, Al Schluby.
Al Schluby, yes.
So we were the Schluby Dews, and it was me and Kristen Krieger against Jared Rod, and Lindsay was the co-captain on the other team. And so we remember.
I think you crushed us.
Oh yeah, we were always very good.
Jon was.
But I beat Kristen and Chubby Bunny.
Yep.
I think I will. I have to
There
say
you
that.
go.
I think I won that one.
Key victory there when you can do that with the marshmallows, and the co-captain and captain challenges were always kind of made lunch an experience. That is for sure. So in the time period, and you can go back to camper or staff, but I know with the years that you spent on staff, we kind of shift gears here a little bit and move into more of the impact that Hiawatha had, I guess. And do you remember some of and Jon, you've already alluded to some of them, but do you remember some of those speakers, and are there any messages that stand out from that time, even though it was a number of years ago now?
Yeah. So I went down in the basement last night, so I dug out the.
You dug out your notes.
This is Don Loney. So
from our notes from our old girlfriends.
That is true. Don Loney was one of my favorites, and I have 2 years of notebooks here, and I have basically the same message in each one. So we actually had some teenage boys over last night, so I was reading them Don Loney's advice. So this is kind of maybe not the deep spiritual part, but he talked about never going in the front door where you can't go out the front door. Step number 1. Step number 2 is never go in a place where you don't want to be photographed. Step number 3 is don't go in a restaurant you can't see the menu because it's too dark, because there's probably women that don't have clothes on. Don't have anything you wouldn't want somebody to find. And then his last one was, if it's doubtful, it's dirty.
That's still pretty practical advice.
And the other one that I still remember by heart, but I saw it in this notebook, was your dad doing one that's in front, enthused, involved, and God will give you the increase.
Yeah, he did that a lot on Friday nights.
But a lot of names in here: Charlie Scanlon, Billy Jr., Craig. Chuck Beckler, Terry Prisk,
My goodness.
Joel Walker.
Joel Walker. He was a good one
So
too. Yeah, I'll tell you, that's one of the things about being at camp and being on staff is just the amount of speakers that were coming in during the summer. You were bound to grab something. And Dad always endeavored to, make it a point. You shouldn't have your favorites, but you almost couldn't help. There were those guys that you got used to, and you were like, oh, I can't wait till that week when he gets up here, because they just kind of, that one would ring your spiritual bell, so to speak, and make an impact and a difference. And so, yeah, those are a lot of good ones. Lindsay, what about you?
Oh, I have so many great memories. I think the Tuesday nights and the Friday nights were really special.
Mm.
I remember as a camper on a Tuesday night making a decision to dedicate my life to ministry. And so that was a huge moment in my life. I grew up, in a great church, a great family. Parents were missionaries and had a relationship with the Lord at a young age. But when I was a camper at 12 years old is when I really made the decision to just, full send. I'm in this, surrendered to the Lord. And it was actually Lori who gave me a verse at the end of a Tuesday night. And it was Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all these things shall be added. And as a 12-year-old, I was worried about many things, insecure, probably just, trying to fit in. And I think that word that she gave me from the Lord really helped me to know the most important thing is to seek first the kingdom. Yeah. And so that was a huge moment in my life. I loved all of the speakers, but I really looked forward to when we had pastors conference at the end of the summer. We used to have that week where, we'd bring in pastors from everywhere. I just thought of this, but, Benjamin Baker, he was an amazing pastor to listen to. I loved the workshop that Ed Hindson did on the book of Revelation. So there were some really neat things, even beyond the camper times with teenagers with Pastors Week, that were impactful for me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I loved those pastors conferences, and they were never big. But yeah, they were incredible, and they brought some really incredible truth from God's word in those times together. So you guys have been married now for
25 years.
25 years. So, and you met evidently on a moonlight cruise as Mr. and Miss Hiawatha. But that might have been a spark, but that wasn't much else. So when did you two kind of fall for each other? And then how many summers were you together on staff?
Yeah, so it was 1998, I believe, was the summer that it was. And so
you'd been on staff about 5 years then, Jon.
Yeah. We had done the whole, I had dated someone she knew, and she had dated a kid I went to high school with, and we were friends, and there was always kind of this thing, I always knew that I liked her, but the timeline just never lined up, which was probably good because I was probably not in a great spot as a high school kid to be taking a serious relationship. But yeah, I actually had a girlfriend, and I was trying to be really laser focused, and I'm not dating anyone. I'm staying I'm just up here to serve. And then
I got this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we would work together and hang out at the Schlooby Shack at night that summer, because it was named after Jon, because he was kind of the manager of the Schlooby Shack.
I was the proprietor.
Yes.
He was Jon Boss.
Yeah. And so we would walk to the kitchen together at night. And, I think we both started to develop feelings that he was being, having integrity, being the man that he was. He had a girlfriend at home. And so finally one night I just said, drop the zero and get with the hero.
It is a line that has lived in infamy.
Yeah. So, of course I said it a little in joking, but it worked. He did. He went home, he broke up with her. Mm-hmm. And then we reconnected at the rally in October, and we went to a bonfire at Jared's house, and we ended up staying up, I think, all night in Kristen Krieger's driveway, sitting in the car talking. Sorry, Donna. I don't know if she knew that. But we talked all night and realized that there was more there than just a friendship. And I think in that moment, we both kind of knew
it
was over. Yep.
Yeah. So you had another summer then up north where you were together, right?
Right. 99, we were
on staff
together.
Yeah.
And then we got engaged at Hiawatha in the Fellowship Center.
Okay.
In February of 2000. Mm-hmm. I want to say 2000. Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you know that was coming, Lindsay, or was that kind of a surprise?
No, it was a total shock. Paul and Lori Panter were with us, and they helped orchestrate the whole thing. And I was completely surprised and so excited. And so, yeah, it was a great moment. We borrowed snowshoes from Hoppy, I think, and went snowshoeing on the lake, and then got back to the Fellowship Center. He had a fire roaring, and Paul and Lori scooted out so that he could have his moment, and he proposed.
That's good.
Yeah,
I remember. Go ahead.
We were supposed to be staying like with Butch and Sharon, like up in Gaylord. And so we were just driving up, and they were like, have you guys ever seen Hiawatha in the winter? And we started this whole thing, and then
it was all fake.
Had to kind of talk them into actually going up there. And we drove up there, and there was literally like 3 feet of snow. So you could stand and touch the basketball goal. And you had to come in right to the end of the road by the sweet shop and stop because there was no driving past there.
That's why we had to borrow the snowshoes from Hoppy.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. I do remember your wedding.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah, I was doing some music with another couple of people that you know, and actually Jonathan, for a few years wound up traveling with Lori and myself and Craig, One Voice, and driving a motorhome, crisscrossing the country, doing a couple quartet conventions together and all that good kind of stuff. And he ran sound for us. And that actually allowed you to run sound too. You ran sound at camp for some Saturday celebration artists and all that good kind of stuff. And so we greatly appreciated him doing that and got to know him, of course, quite well. We already knew Jonathan pretty well, but got to know him and watched him fall in love with Lindsay and all that good kind of thing. So then we got the chance to sing at the wedding. And so that was very special and very cool.
Staff trivia 1994, real quickly.
Yeah.
Staff trivia 1994.
You have
Jonathan. It. Oh yeah, I have it. It's not easy filling Randy's shoes was Jonathan Slocum. That was 1994.
Actually, the night that we were talking about, that we were up all night talking in Kristen's driveway, he had to leave at 7:00 that morning to go with One Voice on a trip. And so he left right from there.
With no sleep.
Yeah.
But we must have been somewhere in the state of Michigan then if we were leaving early Sunday morning. Yeah. So you started going with us then in 94?
Well, I think Randy wasn't on staff anymore, so I was the sound man at camp in 94.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that's when Randy went out to Washington, and because he was on staff during U of M. So
yeah, I think I was traveling with you when I was in college, so it would have been 96, 97, 98.
Okay,
that I would have been on the road
3 years. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, those were some good times. But we fast forward a bit And now you have kids that are on staff and have been on staff, and just give me a glimpse into that. And also, if you can, and I know, I mean, your kids are young adults now. So I know you can't necessarily speak for them, but at the same time, your kids also made some pretty heavy transitions, from being, well, first of all, Jon and Lindsay's kids. So they're up north with mom and dad, grandma and grandpa. I mean, they're at camp from the time they're little. Then they jump in on staff. Then camp has transitions, but they make that transition rather than saying, you know what, it's been a good run. They continue on, and now actually some are making a third transition as we move into a permanent location for the first time. But just talk me through a little bit about that, and how that all came about, because now you have all your kids are incredible, and love having them all on staff. But your oldest son has definitely become somewhat of a Hiawatha icon, following in dad's shoes, and helping with athletics and all that good kind of stuff. So, but just walk me through a little bit of how that happened, and their thought process, even as all of this transition was taking place.
Yeah, we are just so excited that our kids have the same love for Hiawatha and for ministry that we have. And never really dreamed that all three of them would want to be on staff summer after summer, but they do, and they absolutely love it. And it's been really neat as parents to just watch them serve and grow and be able to use the gifts that we know that we see that God has given them, but to be able to use them in such a great way and grow into them. Tommy, I know he's known as the athletic guy, as you said. He's a really funny guy, but he has a great gift of leadership, and he's been able to use that. And so seeing that has been amazing, and just seeing him grow in that and be really excited. He is just, he loves Hiawatha, and every summer is really looking forward to it. Sam, the same thing, just loves being there. And Sam has a gift of evangelism. He has a way of sharing the gospel that I wish I could do, and just to see his love for his campers, and just be able to use his gifts has been really amazing. And then Lainey, same thing. I think, Jonathan and I have just gotten emotional about the gifts and the anointing that she has to be able to, change the atmosphere in a room by ushering in the presence of God through worship, through her gifts of discernment, and just her voice. And so as parents, it just really makes us emotional, and so thankful that they have a place to do that and to pour into other people. And meanwhile, they have grown so much just experiencing what we did, that Hiawatha is a place to serve, but it's also a training ground. And it's a place where, they can be in the Word, they can hear from amazing speakers, be in the presence of God, worship, all of these things that are growing them in their relationship with God and what He's calling them into. So,
And they are proof that that Hiawatha Youth Camp is not a place. It's a ministry, and it's wrapped around the presence of the Holy Spirit. And when you get a group of young people like them and others like them who desire to make a difference and desire to point kids to Jesus, special things happen no matter where you're at. And
Absolutely. And we all have, sentimentality about
yeah,
um Eckerman, about
yeah,
Hiawatha, but we, I think our kids would agree that yeah, they're going to be there no matter where it is. They love it, and it is about the presence of God and not a location. And
yeah,
so I think they're really looking forward to being at the new place.
yeah. Well, and it's for the first time in its history, it's a place that Hiawatha actually owns the bones to, so to speak, and the land that it operates on. And so it's going to be a new adventure. And I know they've already been there helping out and putting things together and that kind of thing. And so we are looking forward to a brand new summer up there and seeing what God does. Still in the state, but on a different side, as we head a little west rather than north.
We're
But
excited it's going to be closer to us.
yeah,
So,
it's going to be
we'll be
way
able to
close to you.
we'll
No
be able to
longer will there be
visit.
these 10-hour drives for the
Mhm.
Slocums to get to where their kids are.
Mhm.
Although it'll be a little more difficult for Grandma and Grandpa coming from
Yeah.
Alpena.
Yeah.
But yeah, and actually, speaking of your parents, Jonathan, your mom, bless her heart, I think that I was getting ready to speak on a Tuesday night at Bambi, and your mom was sitting in the back seat of your car, and you guys were heading, I think, up to
Yeah,
Pyatt.
we were heading up to Pyatt. Yeah.
And she just happened to hit record, and the two of you were just waxing eloquent, as loud as possible, to some Brooklyn Tab choir music
Mhm.
from HYC staff days. And she just sent me the video and said, thought you'd get a kick out of this. And I must admit, it blessed me just to see you two. First of all, you knew all the words. That was pretty good. And still singing, but both of you were very involved in the music when you were on staff, and once we found out that Lindsay could sing, we used her quite a bit. And I know that there were oftentimes too, probably when I was asking Lindsay, you got to sing this particular song. She's like, I'm tired of singing that song. But there are still songs, and some of them that you hear Brooklyn Tabernacle singing, I'm like, that's a Lindsay Slocum song. But and then Jonathan, we just kind of threw him under the bus because, well, his mother, his brother sing. So Jonathan, surely he can sing, and sure enough, he did. And so you both had some opportunities there. But I know that it was really special for you when your daughter experienced music ministry at Hiawatha. A little different nowadays in the fact that more of it is a leading worship, but she had the chance to be a part of that, and I think somebody was able to get a videotape of that to you. And I
Oh
know
yeah,
that was a special night.
Sam. We texted Sam and said, "Hey, can you secretly record tonight?"
Yeah.
But yeah, Lainey, like I said, she just has such a gift and had not really been in a place to use that. And I think Hiawatha has been that training ground for her too, in feeling confident in what the Lord has given her. And Kaylee was actually instrumental in that, in just encouraging Lainey, hey, I think you should sing this song. I think she may have even had a dream or a vision and said, I think you should sing this song. And so Lainey agreed. And that kind of started her on a path, I think, of just knowing this is something that the Lord is calling me to do. And so I believe she's going to help lead worship this summer as well.
And she now finds herself in Nashville pursuing that.
Yeah, she wants to do worship ministry and is not really sure what that looks like yet, but just really has a heart. She's a true worshiper at heart, and so yeah, she wants to pursue that.
That's awesome. Well, it is always awesome when there is another generation of staff members that come from families, and this now winds up being third generation for your family, Jon, and it's been awesome to have them up there and see God working in them and through them, and I know that you are proud of that. Life happens to all of us, and I know that you guys celebrate 25 years, but I also know that the past few years have seen their share of challenges for you. And I just, before we wrap up today, I just wanted you to share a little bit of that journey, whatever you were comfortable with, and just what the Lord's done, but also how good God is that you are where you are right now. And so as you care to, and Jonathan, you jump in here, even though I know this is Lindsay's story to share, but just share with us a little bit of what's been going on the past few years and where you're at right now.
Sure. Yeah. So in 2020, right in the middle of the COVID shutdown, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it came as a complete shock to us. And so I immediately started treatment, went through chemotherapy, radiation, surgeries, just a lot of about 3 years of treatment, hormone therapy, different things. And it was a really difficult time. Sometimes I think maybe even more difficult for my family because, I was the one in treatment, which was hard, but I actually think it maybe would have been harder to be a family member of somebody in treatment. And so just want to acknowledge that I think that was a really difficult time for my family as well. But like you said, God is so good, and I am cancer free. I feel great. It's been a long journey of recovery. During treatment, people would say things like, "You're so strong," and I never felt that. When you're in a vulnerable place and are feeling sick and weak, it's hard to hear that. Now looking back, I really do believe that God used that time to strengthen me in spirit and in passion and purpose for what He wants. And similar to Hiawatha, going through that journey was another type of training ground of really me learning how to battle fear. And, one of the most impactful times was, I had a lot of fear in the beginning, going into treatment, just, fear of not being there for my family, as a mom and a wife. And, I was specifically praying about going to my first chemotherapy infusion, and was just talking to the Lord. And what He said to me was, think of all the things that I infuse you with through my Holy Spirit, and how you are powered in strength, in hope, in joy, love, faith, all these things, and just started giving me scripture to dwell on. And so I would just saturate my mind with truth during that time. And that was the training ground for battle, really, to learn how to combat fear and the lies of the enemy with the truth of God's word. And so that was really impactful. And so I do come out of it strong and feeling great. And it was really hard to go through, but I think for our whole family, God uses those things really greatly. And I think Jonathan and I, we're so thankful for how God brought us together through Hiawatha. And we can see clearly now his plan and how each one of us individually and our identities and how he's created us, that bringing us together in marriage has made more impact on the kingdom, because we can use our gifts collectively. And so going through that cancer journey, I think really just gave us a new passion for what the Lord has for us and what our mission is here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I would say like foundation, right? Like deep foundation, deeply rooted, stable. Those things don't happen without, choosing a spouse that has those characteristics. And then obviously just like the community of people, like when you talk about Hiawatha and those people, those people are the ones who call, those people are the ones who send a letter. The staff sends gift cards for us to get meals, you can feel the support system, and you don't have that from your, the kids you played basketball in high school with or something like that. You have that with kind of this group of people that have your back, even if you live 3 hours away.
Yeah, we're very thankful for that, the community.
And just a place every year, like for our kids in that time frame, like I remember having to leave camp in the summertime. Like it was like this thing where you get there and you're grinding, and there's certain days where it gets hard and you don't feel like being there, and you might want to give up or whatever. And then you get to the end of the summer and you're like, I don't want to leave. Do I have to leave? Can I just be on staff for the rest of my life? Do I actually have to go be an adult? And I think that place for our kids in that time frame is a refuge of like, they can get there, they can get plugged in.
They have met some of their best friends, and I think have experienced a lot of the same community that we have.
Sure. Yeah, that is awesome. We did a podcast last week actually with my daughters and Lori, and the girls were talking about the fact that at the end of the summer, no matter what summer it was, whether they were just kids growing up, campers, or on staff, it wasn't a matter of if they were going to cry when they left. It was just a matter of if they were going to be able to stop by the time we got to the bridge. It was how long they would weep that they were having to leave. But camp, I think, and you said it so well, it was a training ground. Camp was always meant to be the place of preparation, where you take what God gave you and what he said and what he did, and then, okay, now take this and use it, through the rest of the year. And so that's not just from summer to summer, but as both of you have said, some of that actually lasts a lifetime. And it's so good to hear that good news, Lindsay. And of course, we are sorry for everything that you guys went through. We traveled some of that journey, even though we were quite a distance away. We were, of course, kept up to date from both of you and from your parents, but just so grateful that God has brought you through that. And I'm sure that your appreciation for love, life, each other is that much more magnified after that experience. And man, it's been a joy. We are now 50 minutes in on this, and we could probably easily go another 50 minutes. These two are special to me. They are in one of those unique groups of people where when we do get the chance to see each other, it's almost as if we just kind of pick up where we left off. And so it is great to have you on here, and I'm glad we were able to put this together. And we are excited about an upcoming summer at Hiawatha Youth Camp. And this one will be a first, and there's all kinds of work and mission projects and everything you can think of that are happening right now on the grounds there in Allegan. And we would encourage your prayers for this coming summer, that God would just do some great things, not just during the summer, but even in this preparation time, and that he would supply the need. And if you feel so led, we would love for you to be a part of what is happening at Hiawatha Youth Camp. For over 60 years, it's been making an impact on young people, and we are looking forward to another 60 years if God tarries and allows, and you can be a part of that. And we'd encourage you just to go to hiawathayouthcamp.com and check out the site, check out what's available, and if you feel led, give as God has blessed you, and share in the mission and the ministry of this upcoming summer. We're believing it to be the best one yet. And so excited to have you along. Please hit subscribe if you would, and that will get you notice as to when one of these podcasts is dropped every couple of weeks. But thank you so much for tuning in, and special thank you to Jon and Lindsay for sharing with us today. It's been a joy to see you both and to catch up, and we'll be praying for the both of you and for your young kids as they serve with us this coming summer at Hiawatha Youth Camp as well. So God bless you both, and God bless all of you for listening. Have yourselves an awesome day.